and Robbo.
Streaming across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, reviews, entertainment news. It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello and welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show on what is a public holiday for many people. Someone who's still turned up, though, is the fabulous David Robinson. Hello, Robbo.
Hello there, Rob McKnight. I would never miss this show for anything. Public holidays are just for bludgers.
So let's go to Ben. It's Jo Casamento. Hello, Jo.
Yes, I haven't had a sex change. I've just, done my hair differently.
Yes, the lovely Jo Casamento is filling in for Ben today. And Jo, we are so pleased to have you here.
Hello, Jo Casamento.
Fantastic fill-in.
Hello. It's so lovely to join you fellas. Honestly, it really is. What a treat. Thank you for having me.
Well, we've got lots to talk about today. We have the eliminated contestant from MasterChef. We are also talking to Molk. There is so much happening, including the launch of a reality TV show. You might know which one I mean. Big Brother is launching tonight. And I've actually watched, I'd say about the first 20 to 30 minutes of it so far. I got the episode today. I've been trying to have a look, so I'll give you some ideas of what that's like. And there's so much more else coming up. But first of all, let's get into our hot button issues. And Black Lives Matter protesters have well and truly arrived in Australia. They've been mostly peaceful, but all that changed last night in Sydney's Central Station. The police allege there was a scuffle with a protester, which then made the group more aggressive. It was at this moment the police deployed pepper spray. They have defended the use of the spray, saying they were disappointed with the behaviour of the crowd. Jo, do they have a point?
Look, do you know what? I actually spoke to someone who was there yesterday, and from what I understand, it really was a small minority that did turn what was largely if these protests can actually do it the right way. Sorry, I will turn my phone off there. If they can do it the right way, what happened in Sydney yesterday really was a great version of a peaceful protest. Apparently at the end, a few hundred were left. The police spent 2 hours trying to move them from Eddy Avenue into Central Station. And it was, they'd been asked several times, at least 4 to 5 times, to move it on. And after a few hours, they still wouldn't. And it was this smaller group of, say, 60 people that they had to really disband. And they were jumping on turnstiles and banging things. So they did pull out the capsicum spray. Also, from what I understand, the small group that were peppered actually were sort of serial protesters and were well equipped.
Right.
Apparently, according to the person I know at the scene, they had milk in their backpacks ready to, because that's the antidote to the pepper spray.
So, Jo, was this a targeted attack to make the police look bad?
Look, I think they were just, it's always the case with the ugly minority trying to, provoke. They were definitely there to provoke from what I understand. And as I said, I literally just got off the phone to someone who was there. So I do believe the police did what they could peacefully.
And Robbo, that's the point. We've seen some horrific instances during the Black Lives Matter protests in the States. We've seen some horrific instances of police brutality. It doesn't seem like that was the case here.
No, if you act like a bloody idiot, you'll be treated like a bloody idiot. That's what these people were doing, exactly what Jo was saying, that they were, jumping around and banging things. They've been asked to move away. If you're a bloody idiot, you know what you're going to get. And clearly, if they did have that milk there in those bags, they knew exactly what they were doing. And how is this helpful? What I'd really like to know is if we could talk to one of them and just say, be honest, give them a bit of truth serum and say, what do you actually want to get out of this? Is it the fact that you think that, police relations and the public relations are just so good at the moment that we better ruffle them up? No, they're not. We know that they're not. So what's the point of being like this, of being a bloody idiot?
Indeed, you are right. So, gosh, can't believe I'm saying that. Let's move on. All right. And now to Pete Evans.
I never wanted to be famous or that, and I could very easily disappear. You know, some people would like me to disappear, no doubt. And I'll just make this one statement. If I disappear or have a frickin' weird accident, it wasn't an accident, okay?
That was just one of the many bizarre moments from his interview last night on 960 Minutes. The celebrity chef turned conspiracy theorist has been largely panned by politicians, health professionals and media, especially his thoughts on the coronavirus and science.
Are you deeply suspicious?
Oh, that's a good one too. I am sceptical and I also am suspicious because history has shown us that, I mean, even science, and you know this as a fact, science has been bought by vested interests in so many different fields. All I'm saying is sometimes what we've learned isn't always the truth.
Evans followed through with his earlier promise to post the full unedited interview, which he did at the precise moment the story was going to air. Robbo, what do you make of all this?
Oh, look, you know, I don't actually mind Pete Evans and these kind of conspiracy theorists. I don't mind it because it's fun to listen to them. That's all it is. It's just fun, isn't it? Like, you know, there is so much evidence out there that doesn't support what they're saying. And what they're asking us to do is take this massive leap of faith. They've got no backup to it, no cold, hard backup. So I just look at it as entertainment. But it can be dangerous, though, for people who do actually believe in it. There was another guy in that story last night who basically told everyone to smash their TVs, and a lot of people did. And they filmed it and then sent it back to the site. So obviously that's fine. You want to smash up your television, that's all right. You can do whatever you want. My microphone is not behaving. It's probably a conspiracy. They're probably trying to shut us down. Oh, my goodness. They don't want us to talk about it. It's fun, but it can get dangerous. But they've got no evidence. There is no evidence to back up their claims.
I think the thing is, I don't mind hearing alternative views. There was a lot of controversy, Joe, about the fact 60 Minutes aired the interview with him. I've got to say, my main takeaway from this was, is Peter Evans okay? Like, I'm really worried about the guy.
See, it's interesting, and I have to declare here, my daughter is in the same class as his daughter at school, so right. I'm not in a position where, you know, I interestingly, the take home for me was that 60 Minutes, what is going on? I didn't feel the promo matched what was delivered. Again, I felt like it was such a tabloid promo. Of course, they were going to use that little piece to camera where he says, you know, if I'm going to disappear. Moment. Absolutely, and they did it with the Kyle moment. They've been doing it repeatedly, and the story doesn't match. And I was left, two things with 60 Minutes. I was left very disappointed about the interview. I didn't feel like Liz went where she needed to go with Pete, and I'm genuinely interested from Pete. Okay, so if he says that possibly he's going to go missing because other people in position have, she needed to then press forward and say, okay, well, who? Can you give me an example? Give me names, dates, times. Yes. I didn't feel like she pressed him on that. When you talked Robbo, exactly what you said, other scientists, people who have spent years, if not a lifetime, studying these diseases or COVID or whatever it is he doesn't believe in. I wanted to know from him, okay, so what do you say to someone who has spent years with a medical degree and several science degrees in a lab? Yeah. How can you possibly have the same amount of knowledge? And for him to explain that, I wanted to hear what he had to say.
He was there saying, I might be wrong. Well, why are you sprouting this stuff if you don't have evidence? You know, like, you're putting fear in people. You're distrusting science.
Opinion. Yeah, he is, but I think we have a right to question, and I think a healthy dose of scepticism when it comes to the world around us is actually not a bad thing. And if that's Pete's stance, that's fine. I draw the line when he's trying to make money out of it, and I don't think they even went there unless I missed it at the very beginning.
Well, we didn't talk about the light machine.
Yeah, she didn't ask, were you trying to make money? So that was left unaddressed as well. And just on a completely by the by, but the second story on 60 Minutes last night should have been the leading story. It was a very important story about that poor baby that was left brain damaged after the wrong gas, and the reforms that are going to happen because of that incident. That was the more important story that 60 Minutes, I think, should have been trumpeting. But in relation to Pete, I just think he's entitled to his views. 60 Minutes was the one here airing it in the wrong way.
Yep,
that's how I felt about it.
Yep. All right. Well, he's still hunting wabbits But Elmer Fudd will now do it without a gun. The makers of the new Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoons have announced that due to gun violence in the US, they have stealed the trademark guns from characters and replaced with a scythe. The move has received mixed reviews, with some saying it's a sign of the times, while others commented that it was a snowflake and silly move. Jo, you've got kids. Is this fair enough, or is it over the top?
Look, this is a funny one because I just think, why are we talking about this silly cartoon? Can't we just leave it in 1930? I think it was made. Like, let's just leave it there because I don't think kids of this generation are actually going to be watching. I find it funny that in America, where you can buy guns and ammunition in Target, where you can buy the kids' books and DVDs, that they're even talking about this. Look, obviously, historically, cartoons have been violent, and there has been evidence to suggest that violence does go on to lead to aggressive behaviour in children. I think, look, these are cartoons. Let's just leave them as they were, but I don't see why we need to revisit them. Don't we have a creative brain? Why do we have to rehash? I mean, half of Disney Plus's content we have to put a warning on. Really?
Oh, I really like. Yeah, I love the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes there, Jo Casamento. I really do. The weird thing is though, he's now got that. How do you say it? Scythe. How do you pronounce scythe? Thank you so much, Robert McKnight. Public school education right here. Scythe. Isn't there more access though? I know you can get a lot of access to guns in the US, but there's a bloody hell more chance that you can get out a knife. So if you're actually worrying about that, and look at this. This is what they call cartoony violence. So the person who is now executive producing it saying there's going to be heaps of cartoon violence. There's blowing things up. There's the Acme stuff. There's the anvils that will drop down. But isn't a knife worse?
You know, it's interesting, Robbo. I'm watching this, and I actually don't have a problem with the new ones if they've decided to go down that path. The big issue I would have is if they go and remake the old ones, because that's what it was. If they want to use a scythe, that's so be it. That actually still looks fun and funny, and I've got no problem with it. What I hated was when Steven Spielberg went back and changed E.T. and got rid of all the guns and replaced them with walkie-talkies. That wasn't the film. He George Lucased his own film, and it's never a good thing when you George Lucas your film.
No, and George Lucas still doesn't understand that. And thank God that they flicked him for the new ones. But you're exactly right. That was a big
original
thing.
Trilogy.
Yeah, still adding little bits of really bad CGI to it. But yeah, exactly the same thing. You don't go back and do the other ones. Okay, fine, but you can get a firework in the US, right? So if I thought that was funny and I wasn't like completely into it, completely with it, I thought, well, I can shove a little firecracker in my brother's ear. It'll be funny. Because nothing happened. So where do we draw what don't you think? Where do we draw the line though? Because they look like little firecrackers that you can get. So I don't know what the
It's funny watching that cartoon then with you guys. It actually made me feel warm and fuzzy. And
yeah, I know what you mean.
It does make you smile. It's sort of like, oh, there's funny. There's, maybe we become desensitized to the whole thing, but cartoons are cartoons, honestly. And I'm with you guys. Like, leave things as they were made. They were made at the time.
Yes, they're a product of their time.
What the world was at the time. We can't change what we were back then. And thankfully, we have moved forward, and that's where we're at now.
Cool. All right, moving on. And a woman has been accused of hijacking her best friend's wedding. An anonymous British woman posted on Reddit that she had announced her pregnancy at the wedding, and her friend was furious, accusing her of taking away her big day. The poster said that she and her husband had been trying for years and had many complications, so when it finally happened and all her friends were together, she made the announcement. What do you reckon, Robbo? Is there a right and wrong here? And if so, who's right? Who's wrong? Judge Robbo, go.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's right. That bloody bride, it's her day. What is it, like it's 12 or 16 hours out of a day. This woman's going to be pregnant for 9 months. You disgust me. How dare you take her special day? And she's saying, that all of her university friends are there and they never get together. If only there was something that existed in the world where you could speak to a lot of people at one time. Oh, that's right, there's the internet. I would have suggested that maybe there was a time, maybe the next day, that you could then announce this news. This woman is selfish and unjust.
Jo, I tend to agree with Robbo here We've seen a lot of bridezillas who get upset if someone gets pregnant and they're a bridesmaid and stuff like that. This doesn't fall into that camp at all. To me, this woman could have had private conversations with everyone and shared her big news, but to actually make an announcement, it's like, it might be your day, but now it's mine. You know, like, I think it's a bit rude.
Well, it's funny you say that because when I read the headline, I did initially agree with you too, but I'm actually going to have to disagree because when you read her Reddit page, she did say that she didn't get up on stage and grab the microphone during the bridal speeches and say, by the way, everyone, I'm pregnant, y'all. She actually did just share the news with people. Now, I know I have...
So hang on, she didn't... Oh, okay, right. That does change.
So if you read it, she actually did just tell people who she hadn't seen in months, how are you? And if they're friends, they would know what she'd been going through, and she shared the news with them. Did it hijack the wedding? Only the bride can really say how she felt. But I think it's interesting, you know, I must be very fortunate because my group of girlfriends, if that was me, and I did go through those fertility issues and spent 5 years trying, my girlfriend, even if she was the bride, would be so bloody happy for me. I reckon she would hijack her own speech and congratulate me. So I'm just sad that women in the world don't have friends like I do.
Jo, you've actually changed my mind on this. You've done what many think the unthinkable.
There you are.
Ben is watching this having a conniption in the bathtub. He loves a bath. He's probably watching this in the bath. He would be having a conniption because you've actually changed my mind because it sounds like she did exactly what I said. Just quietly talking to people. That's okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It spreads like wildfire. And then everyone's talking about that. Oh, yeah. Sorry, bride. Can you just move out of the way? Because we're just talking about how she's got a baby. No. Yes.
And
just for
say,
one day.
Oh, I'm great.
Just for one day, Jo. Just for one day.
I'm an oversharer. I understand where she was at.
Yeah.
But, Robbo, the rest of the world does agree with you, to be honest.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, get this. Tony Abbott has given himself a big pat on the back, taking credit for how well Australia has been able to withstand the COVID-19 pandemic. The former PM, who has just been made a companion of the Order of Australia, says his government's tough budget savings helped the country to prepare for the virus. What do you reckon, Jo? Is he right?
Well, I don't think there's any disagreement that we were in a good position.
Yeah.
And the previous governments, Tony Abbott was head of one, and then Malcolm Turnbull had left us in a good position. I think it was his 2014, 2015 budget was considered very heavy-handed at the time, and possibly it did set us in good stead. I think we were in a good position. I'm not a huge Tony Abbott fan, and just on another note, I could absolutely, makes me mad about his NBN stance, which is why I always have such technology issues. Perhaps if we'd got cable to the house and not to the node, we might be all right. But that's another little issue.
Absolutely. Robbo, I'm almost scared to throw this to you.
Tony Abbott is an idiot. That's what we've got to remember. He's got some awful things that he's done. He's trying to grab onto anything that will give him a legacy, because everything else, there is no legacy there. And I shut up, Tony. No one wants to hear you.
There's a budgie
He's
smuggler
against
legacy.
climate change. If you want to go for that, that's sure. But from all understandings, that budget is very, very small too. So we've got to move on from that, I guess, because now I've got Tony Abbott and his bloody togs in my mind. Sorry, togs. I'm a Queenslander. Just shut up, Tony. No. Next.
Enough said.
Are you done?
Yeah, probably.
All right.
For now,
thank you.
I
We'll
guess.
move on. And congratulations to everyone who received Australia Day awards. There's been a bit of controversy about the fact that, former Liberal politicians have been rewarded, but so have Labor politicians. I don't have a problem with that. The interesting one for me, Jo, was Mike Carlton, who is a Republican, and he has lapped up his award.
Very interesting. So he hasn't, put it away and said no thank you?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it?
You can always butter someone up, can't you? Even after, 30 years of being
I love
an
Mike Carlson.
absolute anti-monarchist and all of those things. But
Didn't say we didn't
What can you
like
do
him,
when you get an award?
Robbo, just an interesting side.
No, an interesting side point. I was just saying, I just wanted to get that out there because I know Mike's watching, and Mike, we appreciate that. Thank you. And just wanted to say, I adore you. Congratulations.
Fabulous. Wow, you're in a weird mood
can
today.
I just note, sorry, only 41% were women. Should be a 50-50 split, no?
Well, should it,
Oh,
Joe?
true. Yeah, I agree
Should
with
it?
that.
I mean, so
I do.
let me ask you this question, Joe. If there were more women that were deemed worthy and had been nominated, should it still be kept at a 50-50 split, or should more women get the awards?
I think absolutely, because you can't tell me there are less worthy women in the world than
I'm
there
not
are men.
saying
It's
that,
just
but it
clearly
comes
they're
down-
not in positions in their field where they would be nominated, and that's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Why aren't they?
I just found it interesting that you said it should be 50-50, but I'm guessing that if there are more women, and you said that, you have no problem with it skewing in favour of the women.
Oh, no, I actually think maybe it's one of those things where it's a quota thing where it's, 50-50. It's like, why shouldn't it be? I guess in their fields.
Oh, I agree.
Interesting. It's actually an interesting question. Should it be based on worthiness? Yes, not because you are a female or a male in that field. Obviously, if you're in the world of science and a male scientist deserves it over the female 100%, but I can't believe that it's that much skewed against women.
And it
That's
certainly
an
comes down to
indication
the
of-
nomination process as well. And they have said,
100%.
the organisers have said, they are working on rewarding more women. And so it does come down to that nomination process. It comes down to the vetting that goes along with it. So if you
Do you
want
know,
more women
I
to
can
be
see that.
receive these awards, nominate them. It can be anyone in your community.
Yeah.
It doesn't just have to be celebrities and politicians. Anyone in your community can get a Queen's Birthday honour. So make sure you nominate. That's what it comes down to. All right.
Can I just say something? Sorry to interrupt you, Rob. I am on a panel. It's the only judging panel I've ever been on for the Bernardo's Mother of the Year.
Yep.
And we would often love to hear from more Indigenous mothers. And it does come down to, when you're in a judging room, it comes down to who's been nominated. And it's
Yep.
quite unfortunate because, there are mothers out there in the Northern Territory, but perhaps a lot of those nominations are online. Maybe they don't have access to all of that. So it's actually the process, not the outcome, that needs to be addressed.
Fair enough. All right. Last night, MasterChef Australia saw the contestants whipping up Aussie classics, but it was the veggie maestro, Simon, who faced the chop. Let's take a look.
Simon, you've brought us some amazing vegetable dishes, and I mean that, amazing. But I'm sorry, today it just wasn't one of them. Cool. Your broccoli was overcooked. The dish in a whole was just a bit underwhelming. I'm so sorry, Simon. You're going home.
He just missed out on the top 10, but he is here with us today. That's his consolation prize. Simon, welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Thanks so much for having me. What a great consolation prize.
Simon, you really are the master of vegetables. We've seen you present some amazing dishes that have challenged how a lot of people think about vegetarian food. What happened last night?
Oh, what a ridiculously silly thing to do on my part. Firstly, I named it in a way that probably will get me to regret naming it that way for a very, very long period of time, the naked broccoli. However, I just don't think I executed it. I don't think I executed it properly. And really, in fairness, the result was, the result was deserved.
Well, that's interesting. You were on our screens last year and then back in the kitchen again so quickly. Do you think being so fresh from the competition helped you or hindered you this time around?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think you know what, it's both, because what happens is you spend so much time in that kitchen that you feel like you've got a home ground advantage. But the other part is the fact that I haven't had any time in the commercial kitchen, and so in so many ways, that lack of sort of like learning and different techniques that I could possibly bring to the kitchen, I don't have, and so it's quite tough.
Well, we can see your passion for sustainability and plant-based cooking, but do you think Australia is ready for a vegetarian MasterChef?
Oh, I love that. Well, you know what? Say that. I love the fact you just said that because I looked at you always sort of look at the reviews and you look at the how many people are the ratings and stuff, and it turned out that the vegan mystery box with Shannon, the ratings were so high that it was nearly as good as the opening episode.
Really?
Of MasterChef to win. Yeah, so it's going to show that there's a lot of opportunity there for plant-based people. People are excited about it, and people want to know about it. That's the exciting part, right? Like, you don't have to love it, but if you want to know about it, that's just a really good stepping stone.
Well, look, absolutely. And I'll tell you, my diet is usually very terrible, but we are eating, just weirdly, more vegetarian-based stuff. It seems to be the way we are consuming food now.
I think so. I think it's really the forward thinking of food. I mean, you can create flavor so well from plant-based ingredients. It's just, I mean, peasantry food from way back who couldn't afford meat used plants, used vegetables around them and utilized that. And I find that the more we get educated and the more we move away from, well, pretty much what I served last night, which was a mushy broccoli, the more we move away from that and into understanding flavors with plants and plant-based ingredients, then we are on to a winner.
Well, we're down to the top 10 now. Who are you picking to win?
Oh, I've got a soft spot for one person. It was my housemate the whole way through. I want Callum to win. He's a brilliant all-rounder, but on top of that, he's just a beautiful man. He's a really kind-hearted soul, a wonderful father, a wonderful husband. So I want him to win.
Nice, that's beautiful. But before we go, we've got to revisit one of my favourite moments from this season of MasterChef. It's the point where you were asked to identify a dish and its origin. Watch closely or you might miss it. So yes, just to be clear, you were asked dark country of origin, pancake. So what we saw there was your first guess. You were such a good sport posting this on your Instagram page.
Yeah.
You know, do you feel okay about it?
I do. I mean, the funny thing is that there's the amount of people that responded saying, you know, instead of abusing me for being ridiculous, which obviously I didn't purposely do that. In hindsight, I wish I did. But I think the greatest part is that so many people wrote back saying, I would love to live in pancake. You know, how good would that be? And I'm like, of course it would be. It'd be a delicious world of golden syrup and duck pancake or your choice of whatever you want. So I'm sticking by my answer. And I think there's 5 cities in America called Pancake, so you know, I'm not too.
So yes, just to be clear, I know you're standing by the pancake answer, okay?
Yeah.
But is that an example of just how much pressure you're under when you're in the kitchen?
Oh my God. When you subconsciously answer a question that is so utterly wrong like that, then yes, 100%. Because I mean, I didn't even know who the person was on the camera, but I need to have some words with that person because I had no idea. I knew I'd done it, but I'd forgotten until I saw myself on camera, and then someone sent it through to me on a tweet. I lost it. I absolutely lost it. Oh, my gosh.
Simon, I'm so sad you haven't gone further. I would have loved to see you in the very top 3 and top 2 and even winning it. You've got such a great personality. You have made MasterChef a joy to watch. Thank you so much for being on the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Thank you so, so much. I appreciate it so, so much. Have a great day.
And don't forget, MasterChef continues every Sunday to Thursday at 7:30 on Channel 10 and the Win Network. And I have to say, guys, I have been loving this season of MasterChef. He was such a great guy. Jo, have you been watching?
I actually tuned out, I'm ashamed to say, but I'm a dreadful cook and even I can get broccoli right. What happened? Like, it's the only dish I can actually nail.
Sorry, luckily, I think I'm just looking at my screen. Simon has hung up. Hopefully he didn't hear that. So thanks, Jo.
Sorry.
Wow. All right.
Well, how do you make mushy broccoli?
You cook it for too long, apparently. All right. Let's have a look at our random live shot of the day.
It's the random live shot of the day. Where are you going today? You'll never know where you'll end up with the random live shot of the day.
And today we're taking you to Long Beach, California. And what you're looking at are moon jellies. Moon jellies. It's sunny with a low of 16 degrees today and a top of 22 degrees. Let's take a look at some of the feedback coming into the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Amanda says, not saying that there were some people acting up in the last lot, but if you are moving everyone into a train station, which is a confined space, some people are going to object to being there. Yes, that's a very good point about the use of pepper spray on Sydney protesters over the weekend. Let's have a look at what Jeanette's saying. Oh, please. Elmer was and still is a fun cartoon. In fact, we watched the Looney Tunes last Saturday with my niece and nephews. They laugh and enjoy it. Didn't see any problem with it. All right, let's find out what Lindley is saying. Paused my binge watch of a country practice to watch this. Good on you, Lindley. We need more of it. We need more of that. Jamie says, we were talking about the fact Ben's probably in the bath watching the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Jamie says, haha, I watched BRR in the bath in my lunch break. Love having you all in the bath with me. Well, it's a bit naughty, but
what kind of job does Jamie have?
I love
He's having
that.
a bath at work?
You absolutely should have bath breaks at work. There should be bath breaks and siestas. That's my kind of job. One more.
Oh, weirdly, you didn't think that when you were the boss, though.
True. And finally, Madsen says, Tony Abbott deserves his Queen birthday honour, especially after his volunteering during the bushfire crisis last summer. I 100% agree with that. Whatever your politics on Tony Abbott, I really do feel, Joe, that he has a decency about him away from politics when it comes to bushfires and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm very unpopular in my own family because they're very much anti-Tony Abbott people, but I feel that decency, and a lot of people disagree with you and I on that, but I do see that he leads by example.
Why didn't that translate to his politics? He was always seen as such a hard, nasty, mean man, and even his policies were nasty at times.
Yeah, the stop the boats is always, I mean, it's a massive human rights issue, and it's, worldwide considered probably the harshest turn the boats away program that, the legacy that left has left a lot of people in a lot of, with a lot of bad taste. I think to me, and again, my whole family will be screaming at me if they're watching because they're very Labor. My own brother-in-law is a Labor MP, but I felt like he was like the dad that just didn't know how to say things properly, and that was my feeling. I felt like his daughters, I knew his daughters, and the way they spoke about him, I knew his wife, and I just felt, when you meet people who are around a man personally and the way they speak about them, I can only go off my personal interactions, and his wife and daughters are divine, and they adore, respect, and the measure of a man to me is how he treats the women around him and the people around him, not just the women, but in this case he only has daughters, to me that said everything. That said a lot.
Quickly, Robbo, does any of this change your mind?
No, not at all. Nah. It was a great day when he walked out of the lodge.
Wow, okay. You know what? Let's leave politics behind because it's time to talk something a lot more fun. It's time to talk TV with none other than Steve Molk from TV Black Box. Hello, Molky.
Leaving politics behind, please. That's in my centre. Anyway, hello.
We're leaving it behind. Hey, look, Molk.
Hello, gorgeous man.
It's just us watching. Hi, everyone.
Some old comments from Sunrise host Sam Armitage have gone viral for their perceived racism. Let's take a look.
One of the sisters is obviously black, the other is white.
The Alma twins come from a mixed-race family in the UK. Maria has taken after her half-Jamaican mum with dark skin and brown eyes and curly dark hair. But Lucy got her dad's fair skin, good on her, along with straight red hair and blue eyes.
Mark, these comments are from 5 years ago. Why are they making news now?
As much as anything, I think we're in a heightened state of awareness. People are looking for opportunities to reinforce their points. And this is obviously well alive on the internet, easy enough to find. We did have a quick chat about this on the TV Black Box podcast, and I agree. I'm surprised that this clip surfaced as opposed to the now infamous clip involving Prue McSween and Ben, what's his name? Now I'm blanking.
I'm blanking too.
that was upheld as a challenge by ACMA to say that that they were basically speaking out of a place of lacking knowledge, and that what they'd said could be perceived to be sort of inciting race issues. Look, I think as much as anything, it is just an ongoing situation where people are looking for stuff to bag Sunrise at because they're an easy target because they're the number one brekkie show.
To me, this wasn't even racist because Sam often speaks about the issues of having fair skin and, pointed to herself, and it was not about black and white. It was more about the fair skin comment. You could see that's 100%. What registered with her.
Look, I don't purport to understand what goes on in Sam Armitage's mind or any of the female race because I am a dude and am lucky to have secured one that I live with.
Everyone's making it out to be.
Oh, look, Rob, if you want to draw me on it, I'm going to say it was a poor choice of words on Sam's part.
We're all guilty of poor choice of words. I just think out of all the issues and Black Lives Matter, people are dying. She makes a reference about her fair skin. I'm more concerned about the guy getting killed with the officer's knee on his throat. That's more concerning to me than some.
And let's put it in context, right? This happened, as you said, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This wasn't Sam on breakfast this morning.
Correct.
So anyone that's trying to sort of beat this up and suggest that it's a recent thing, it's not. However, it does play into what is, I guess, a longer litany of Australian media and some things that are said that look at times not great and at other times pretty horrific. We could all find opportunities where we've said things that we shouldn't have said on camera or otherwise. The difficulty for people that work in the media, particularly our breakfast TV presenters, is that every word they say is available to be clipped and shown again and again and again. So you only have to misspeak and you can be cut out of context, essentially.
Robbo.
That's very true, Molk. Well, let's stay with racism now. We've got two former co-hosts who are going to war over accusations of racism. Molk, what can you tell us?
Yeah, look, this is an interesting one that's popped up in the Daily Telly, as we can see here. Faustine Goli, or Fuzzy, as people might know, has had a big swing at her former co-host, he of the Dropping Pants, Axel Whitehead, after he posted, and I appreciate, in his instance, it was an attempt at probably a joke or a lighthearted comment, pretty poorly timed, where while people were posting black tiles and saying Black Lives Matter, he posted a yellow tile and said that Asian lives matter. Fuzzy went on a bit of a blow at him and said that this is outrageous. You can see here, not cool as far as what she felt he'd said, and that it was, from her mind, a racist thing to say. He then went, as in Axel, went on to get some data from Twitter. Kids never get data from Twitter, generally not the best place to find it. Get some data from Twitter to support his argument, which was very easily sort of dismissed as being just not true.
Yeah, right.
Jo.
Look, I honestly, when people try and make out that Black Lives and turn it into something else, all lives matter, whatever, it's just really, someone gave me the best. It was a silly Facebook post, but it was the best example of it. It was like, if there's a house on fire in your street, you're going to call the fire brigade to that house. Yes, all the houses in the street matter, but it's this frickin' house right now that matters. So, to try and put it into an Asian, whatever, we're talking about this now because of the incident at hand.
I do wonder.
Yes.
I do wonder if there was some stuff from behind the scenes back when they were working together that's festered in this, but. Anyway, we'll see if more 100%. Comes out of it because he has said to her, I'm not a racist. I was trying to make a joke, as you rightly said, Molk. Hey, Molk, Michael Rowland from ABC News Breakfast is celebrating something of a milestone.
Something indeed, 10 years on ABC Breakfast. Michael Rowland, absolutely, you'd say decorated, foreign correspondent. He's been working with the ABC for quite some time. 10 years ago, joined ABC Breakfast, then hosting with Virginia Trioli, now hosting with Lisa Miller. That is a long time in any job, let alone in television. And for him and Virginia, and now for him and Lisa to be doing so well on ABC Breakfast, the fact that they are drawing in a whole new group of viewers, particularly at the moment, and the fact that MJ is just such a professional, delivering morning after morning, doing a great job. I think full credit to him and congratulations.
Mark, off the top of your head, do you have the number of weeks they've beaten today into the number 2 spot now?
Yeah, we're in ratings-wise. I think we're in week 17, if my count is correct, and the ABC are at 9. So if we were to call the ratings year this year, ABC Breakfast has come second.
Now, what they have to do is get to the magic 21 weeks, and they will be able to claim the number 2 spot away from Channel 9's Today Show. And in my mind, that is a huge thing. Doesn't affect Channel 9's share of the advertising market in breakfast, of course, because the ABC don't sell advertising. But just from a positioning point of view and from a sales point of view of being able to sell to the market, not going to be a good look if that continues.
The last 2 weeks today have surged back and moved into second again, though it is still very tight. Like they haven't, jumped them and piggybacked by a huge margin. However, they are back there, but it can be morning to morning.
Yeah. And Mark, we've been talking about this since last October, but the time has come. Big Brother will launch tonight on Channel 7 at 7:30.
Big Brother, you say? I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Look, it is going to be all eyes on television tonight. There is no question. This is, technically the 13th season of Big Brother here in Australia, and lots of people will be watching the very heavily promoted season premiere, hosted again by Sonia Kruger back on 7. All of the housemates we know, they are all listed on tvblackbox.com.au. We also know it is pre-recorded. Everything is predetermined except for the finale, where Australia will finally get to vote as to who they think. Look, I'm really keen to see it. I am desperately hoping for Seven's sake that it is a success. They absolutely need it to be. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that from a ratings point of view, less than 700,000. Look, it's passed, but I wouldn't have said it's a success.
I have some amazing news. I have actually been watching the first episode today.
Thief! Thief!
I got an early copy from Channel 7. And I unfortunately, because I was prepping the show, I'm only about 20 or 30 minutes in, but I can tell you I am loving it. And I actually think the way they've introduced the cast of characters is done the best way that I've ever seen. The production is slick as, and you're still getting moments, and you're still getting people that are annoying other people. And I'm really, obviously, I've got a long way to go to get through the rest of the episode, but seriously, I'm in. Based on what I've seen so far, I think it's great.
Well, my question to you guys are, Robbo, Joe, and well, we know Rob's going to watch it. He's already watching it. Robbo and Joe, are you guys going to tune in?
Well, Molk, we're discussing it.
But I'm not excited about it.
Now. Oh, you're being forced to watch it as well. Me too.
Yeah.
We're discussing it.
I felt bad about saying that, Joe, because I thought I'd be the only one saying that, but I like that you were honest.
No, I think, Robbo, genuinely, I think you're going to love it when you tune in. Seriously, I think you will really enjoy it.
And the proof of the pudding is going to be... Sorry, everyone. Joe, you were talking, please.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I remember, showing my age, 20 years ago when the first lot of House contestants came out and I did the first interview with Sarah Michelle, the bum dancer. And
Sarah Marie,
and I just remember Sarah Marie thinking, and she had released a single off the back of that, and that bum dance.
That's right. Yes. Harry and Miller.
I just remember thinking, Harry and Miller, and credit to Harry, he saw that it was going to be huge and jumped on it like any great entrepreneur, like the great entrepreneur he was, really made some money out of it. But I struggled then with the idea of watching people just do nothing. I mean, I like reality shows. They at least have to be, getting in a hot tub or doing something really important, So I do struggle with the idea of them just doing nothing. I know you've said there's challenges, but to me, is that interesting unless they're like Survivor, challenges?
Yeah, I haven't got to the challenges yet, Joe, so I'm interested to see that.
But I'm looking forward, given the context and given how much you guys love it, and now having worked with Ben and his enthusiasm and what an amazing personality he is, I think I'm going to give it a go with fresh eyes and come in excited and ready to
look at you
on our podcast.
Well,
that's right.
We've got a couple of programming announcements all surrounding Big Brother. The Ben, Rob and Robbo Show will air a series of special episodes at 9:30. p.m. after every episode of Big Brother. Our Eye on Big Brother videocast can be found on all our social media channels as we stream live. Tonight, Ben from Brisbane will be joining us, as well as Reggie, to discuss the first episode. Plus, if you'd prefer to listen to the audio version of the podcast, that will be available tomorrow morning. Just subscribe via your favourite podcast subscriber. And if that wasn't enough, tonight's evicted housemate will be right here tomorrow on the Ben, Robin, Robbo Show. Yes, we are the unofficial home of Big Brother.
Knock me down with a feather. Look, it's going to be great, and that's awesome, Rob, to see. You've got Ben Zabel and Reggie there. That will be a great thing to tune into tonight. If you're a Big Brother fan, absolutely, or catch on, in a podcast scenario, and of course, tune into the Ben Robin Robbo Show to find out not only who got evicted, but what their experience was like for basically one day. I'm really keen to see tonight, and as I have been. I know that I said the casting has sort of got me down a bit. Look, I can put that to the side. The critical thing is going to be not necessarily how tonight goes, because there's lots of tire kickers coming to watch to see how Big Brother goes. It's going to be who turns up Tuesday night, who turns up Wednesday night, and what the ratings do to carry that through. Because awesome, you want to put everything into your first episode, but if the second episode is then not so good or a little bit lacking, that's not going to be great. But please, let's hope it's all great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, Mark, thank you very much. We look forward to your report on your next report on Monday, and you'll have a special edition of the Binge Box where you're reviewing Big Brother.
Yes, because too much is never enough.
Yeah. Mark, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Malky.
It's so great to be on the show with you guys. Lovely that you've got Jo on to fill in for Ben. Talk about the super sub.
I know. You'd be scared about having Jo Casamento fill in for you.
The best seat warmer I've seen, Casamento. Good work.
I'm a great B team.
Not at all. Thanks, Molk. All right. Now, speaking of Jo, it's time to find out what's happening in the world of entertainment. And Jo is bringing us the entertainment news today. And Jo,
I am.
We're beginning with Dance Mums has been axed.
That's right. Well, this is and it's interesting what's happening here. A few people, and we're about to discuss another one, a few celebrities are getting in a lot of trouble for their own personal Instagram and Twitter accounts. Abby Lee Miller's reality show, Virtual Dance Off, which was to air very shortly, has been cancelled by Lifetime following reports that she was, racist to a lot of the dance mums that she's worked with in the past. She issued a big mea culpa on her Instagram and vowed to do better in the future, saying, "I genuinely understand and deeply regret how my words have affected and hurt those around me, and I, promise to do better." Apparently, she had not been she had been quite, awful to some women in the past and had used her position of privilege to sort of put them down. I think the accusation from the mother was that she had basically said, a statement from her that sticks in my mind to this day during my time on Dance Mums, this is the mother who has made the accusation, is, "I know you grew up in the hood with only a box of 8 crayons, but I grew up in the country club with a box of 64. Don't be so stupid." So she sort of had that very white privilege, and it's, come back to bite her in the butt. So the show's been cancelled. I just think in this climate, anything that's tone deaf and reeks of anything like that is just not going to be safe for any network.
No, but it's interesting that stories from Offset are now, from years ago, are now jeopardising careers now and into the future.
Everywhere. We've seen it with Jimmy Fallon, Ellen lately. I mean, we just spoke about Sam Armitage. It's like, God, what did you do in your past that could come back to bite you? And that is a little bit, scary because, as I said, we all develop, we all change, we all learn new things, we all get educated along the way. And, it was even, when the Oscar host was cancelled with, that comedian my son loves. What's his name?
Oh,
Kevin?
yes. I wanted to say Chris Rock, but it's not Chris Rock. That sounds racist. I can't think of the...
Kevin! Oh, my God, why am I...
That's going to do my head in all day.
Amanda, Google it. But
Because she's not pressing enough
Kevin
buttons.
Hart. Kevin Hart.
Thank you.
My son will.
I knew it was a controversial comedian.
My son's favourite comedian, and I've been watching his reality show, and he's brilliant, and what he has to say is so fabulous. But he was cancelled because 10 years ago he did a stand-up comedy that was seen as homophobic. So what we do in the past does inform us the future, I guess, and that's probably a bit scary for everyone, isn't it?
Indeed.
Well, Jo, the past is a
record.
foreign country. That's right. The past is a foreign country, and they do things differently there. I learnt that wonderful quote once, and I try and live by that every year. Now, yes, Victoria Beckham made nearly £1 million by not singing with the Spice Girls.
I know. So isn't that amazing? I mean, she's been in the media lately because when the JobKeeper or the reforms came in Britain, she actually divulged how much she did or didn't earn with her fashion label, and it was quite pitiful. It was like £700,000 or something, which is to us a lot of money, but in the scheme of, you know, Gucci and all of those labels, a pittance. And she earned the ire of the public for even, you know, claiming some of those claims. But of course, she refused to go on the Spice Girls reunion tour, and it turns out that she's nearly made $1 million in cash-making ventures on the back of the comeback gigs that she snubbed.
Oh, no.
So while Mel C, Jerry, you know, Emma, all the others were out there, you know, working.
So they do the work.
26-year-old butts off. She gets all of the assets because they're all members and directors of the company that houses the trust. And they all made all of that money off the back of, you know, selling all the tickets and all the gear and all the paraphernalia that goes with it. So she's absolutely earned to keep by staying home and not singing.
Wow.
Nice way to make some money, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, during these protests and everything that's going on around the world with Black Lives Matter, we just talked about Abby Lee, and now Glee star Lee Michelle is facing a backlash. We know that she was called out for the way she treated an African-American member of the cast. What's the latest on this one? Because this is updating daily.
It is, because her initial apology was seen as quite pathetic, because she kind of said, I feel bad that I made you feel bad, but she didn't actually own the error. She's issued another apology saying it's been a real wake-up call to her, and she wants to responsibly right her wrongs. A friend has come out and said she is listening, she hears what everyone says and wants to apologise. This is her past, exactly what we were just talking about, and she wants to handle things responsibly. From what I understand, a lot of people have come out now saying she was a complete, are we allowed to use the B word on daytime Facebook? She was a complete, as my children say, biatch. To everyone. So it wasn't just...
So that's not racism, that's just being horrible.
No, it's actually turned out after this came out, so many people have come out and said she was, you know, an absolute selfish nightmare. She's racist, sexist, transphobic. I would say she has behavioural issues.
So she hates everyone equally.
In general.
So that's interesting, because this comment came out because of her comments about Black Lives Matter. And this person, the young actress, came out saying, well, you treated me like a second-class citizen. But that wasn't based on race. This woman just seems like she thinks she's above everyone.
Absolutely. You're saying things, you know, that are coming back to bite people. And if you were an awful person to your makeup person back in the day, it's going to come out somewhere along the line. That's what we're learning. And you know what? If you're a person that's treated everyone badly, just, you know, it's good. I think it's good that these things are coming out. I mean, not if there's just, you know, if there's enough people to back up an argument, it would seem to be the truth, right?
Fair enough. Hey, we had you here on Thursday and we ran out of time, but you had a report that there's some good news for film festivals.
That's right. I'm excited about this one because, you know, movie lovers have been really denied a lot. I know Netflix is good. I know we've got a lot of TV to binge on. But the cinema experience is still something we are all clamouring for, and it's so lovely to hear that the famous French Film Festival, the Cannes Film Festival, even though we are not going to see the beautiful red carpets and the sparkly gowns, I mean, Cannes really is the epitome of Hollywood glitz and glamour at its best. So sadly, That was supposed to happen in May of this year, and clearly it didn't. But the good news is for independent film lovers and film lovers around the world, the films have still been announced. There is a selection of 52 films that will carry the Cannes brand to the screen at different partner events around the world. And there's the big, ones that everyone's talking about. Wes Anderson's film, The French Dispatch, is one of the ones everyone's talking about. And Pixar's Soul, which is the animated feature from the Inside Out director and has the voices of Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx. That's going to have its premiere. It was going to premiere in Cannes. It will now premiere on screens around the world when they open. So that's exciting news, I guess.
I just had to laugh. I just have to laugh because I'm just realising this has been our longest entertainment segment ever. And when Ben finds out that how long it's going, he's going, but no, you drop entertainment all the time.
Well, we'll leave the next little item. We'll leave the next item till Thursday's Chop Chat. How about
that? Okay, we can do that. Robbo, that depends. Do you have a conundrum up your sleeve?
I've always got a conundrum. I'm always thinking, I'm always challenging ideas, and I think we should talk about one today. It's a tool that can make and break elections, and I'm talking about social media and in particular Facebook. Now, Mark Zuckerberg has come out and said that Facebook shouldn't be the arbiters of truth, that it's not up to them to go through posts and say what is true and what isn't. This obviously comes off the back of 2 years ago, under political pressure. He said that he would make more of an effort to bring truth out in political advertising. And even Trump's campaign manager has said that there was targeted advertising that happened with Facebook, not the Cambridge Analytics worry there that they had there, that awful time that they did there where they hacked that data. But we're also talking about how Twitter has put in fact checking. Guys, I'm asking both of you now, it is such a big megaphone where everyone can talk, but if you're coming from an official candidate in any election, shouldn't you be held to account?
Absolutely. I think Facebook has a responsibility, and we're starting to see it with Twitter, where they're allowing, because it's the President of the United States making some outlandish claims, Twitter are actually putting notes on his tweets, which is infuriating him even more, saying there are, for more on this story, and, basically calling him out on the lies. And there was a big video that the White House released that showed that was saying that Black Lives Matter's protesters were leaving bricks at all these locations so that protesters could grab the bricks and start destroying stuff. That was outrightly condemned and proven not to be the case. It was all construction bricks. But the White House made the association that this was being left by organised protesters. And that video got pulled off Twitter. And I actually think Facebook might have pulled it as well for being a false video. But I personally do believe Facebook has the power. It's making billions of dollars. It is the loudest voice out there, and it needs to take some responsibility, especially when it's coming from these concerted campaigns of disinformation. Jo, what do you think?
Yeah, look, Rob, I actually couldn't agree with you more. As someone from a newspaper background, studied print journalism, you spent a lot of your time at university learning about defamation, what you can and can't publish, why you can't just publish anything you want. There has to be a defense of truth, or, there are certain other legal aspects. And as someone who used to write entertainment and gossip, I spent a lot of time with our News Corp lawyer and Fairfax lawyer when I worked there, going over every single word, because it can be, even if it's a restaurant review, you have a ability, not just to ruin a business because you might have been having a, bad bucket of prawns on that day of whatever, but you be very careful when you publish content. Yes. And I think these social media platforms have got away with so much for so long, because they've considered themselves platforms. And I think that's what Zuckerberg is saying here, is we're just merely, the disseminator of this information. But at some point, and that point is now, they have to take responsibility for what they are publishing. And if you're going to make all the money off the ads and all of that, you have to be responsible for what you're putting out there. You can't incite violence just for the sake of it. You can't. You have to actually own it and take responsibility and make sure that everything that's published, is vetted through those processes. That's why we have defamation law, and that's the issue here.
Which I totally agree with both of you. The thing is, though, it happens here in Australia as well. So all political advertisements that happen within an election are not subject to the code of conduct where they have to be proven. So if I go out there, we'll say Pete Evans, his light machine is rubbish. He gets pulled up for that, okay? But here in this country, on mainstream media, we can't. You can't fact check a political advertisement. It's exempt from it, and that's from laws, federal laws, that allow that to happen. So
is that true?
I agree
because
with
they
both
all
of
have
you
to put who authorised the ad, Robbo, so someone is taking responsibility
they can authorise
for that.
Yeah, of course they can authorise it, but they are exempt for any code of conduct. You cannot complain about them. You cannot take anything like that to court, and it needs to happen in a certain time frame. So when an election is called, but it's just not. It's
Robbo,
not held to the same high standard.
Yeah, remember in the last election campaign, my politics is pretty bad, but there was the text messaging, and then the last 24 hours, it was a real scaremongering. I think
that was from Labor about the Medicare.
Yes.
It was called the Mediscare campaign.
Yes, and it was actually inaccurate information from my memory, but there have been other instances. So you're right, they can just put out what they want, even if it's BS, which is, horrible, and if we're gullible enough to believe it. But, you get that information in your inbox, you do believe it, and you can get scared the night before an election, can't you? So maybe there needs to be new laws about the truth, the same, barometer of what can and can't be published should be for, political campaigns as well.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That makes it up. I can hear the music.
It's like the Oscars music. Wrap up. All right. All right. We are back tomorrow at 1 o'clock in your streaming feeds and back on Ticker TV tomorrow. They're having the day off. That's why we're streaming. We're here for you. We love our viewers. So thank you for being with us once again. Jo, you've done a fabulous job filling in for Ben. Thank you so much.
Jo.
Yes,
thank you so much. I've loved it. Mwah.
Well, we love you, Jo. And Robbo, you were here too.
Yeah, okay. And you were out of it. So, yeah. Jo was the star today.
She was. All right. Thanks very much. And we might have a bit of a surprise for you tomorrow. We may be looking a little bit different when you tune into the Ben, Rob and Robbo show tomorrow. Let's see what happens. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Ben, Rob and Robbo show.